Hi everyone, welcome back to JavaScript 101, and in this video I'm going to be talking about loops. So loops are just ways in which you can execute a block of code a set number of times, and the first loop I'm going to show you is the while loop. So while loop uses the while keyword, and then in parentheses you have a specific condition, and in curly braces you want to execute a specific code here. So let's create a condition. I'm going to create a variable called I and give it a value of 0, and then I'm going to say if I is less than 6, I'm going to run the code here. So I'm going to log I, here, but if we run this code here now, it will basically create an infinite loop. So it'll run indefinitely and won't stop, and you don't want that, because you want your program to stop at some time. So what you can do is you can modify the value of I every time it runs a loop. So we're just going to increment it by 1, and if we run this code here, you can see here that it goes 0 1 2 3 4 5, because every time the loop runs it increases I by 1 until it gets to 6, then it'll stop the loop there. So that is your while loop here. So the next loop is the do while loop. So before I show you the do while loop, I'm just going to change the value of I to 6 here, and if I run this code again, as you can see, it doesn't give you any output because I is no longer less than 6, so the code block won't run. But if you want to run the code at least once, you can use the do while loop. So you will use the do keyword here, and in the curly braces you want to put the code that you want to execute, and then you just have a while statement here, the while parentheses, and you can stop there. And if you run this code now, you can see it will at least execute the code at least once. Okay, so the next loop I want to show you is the for loop. So you just use the for keyword, and in parentheses you put let I equals 0, and then semicolon I is less than how many times you want to loop through. I is less than 6, so it will loop through 5 times, and then you increase I by 1, and then in the curly braces you put your code you want to execute. I'm just going to log I here. If you run this code here, it will go 0 1 2 3 4 5. So that is your for loop here. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is just a couple of keywords that will modify the behavior of your loops. So I'm just going to create an if statement here, and I'm going to say if I equals to, I'm going to break. So this is a break keyword here. So if I run the same code here again, it goes 0 1 2, and then it stops because it comes across this break keyword when I equals 2, and then it will terminate the loop. So the next keyword I want to show you is the continue keyword. So in this instance, I'm going to just log this after that continue keyword here, and when we run this code here, as you can see, it goes 0 1 3 then 4 then 5. It basically skips 2 because when I equals 2, it runs into this continue keyword, and the continue keyword just basically stops the current loop and just goes to the next one. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is the label. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an inner loop, and I'm going to say let j equals 0, and then j is less than 6 again, and then j increases by 1. And then in the curly braces, I'm going to log a special message here. I'm going to say inner, and then I'm going to give the value of j. And in the outer loop here, I'm going to say outer, and then I'm going to log the value of I here. So this is what we call a nested loop here. So if we run this code here now, okay, oh, this is too big. Okay, I'm going to just shorten that loop here. I run the code again. I think I need to clear this. Let's run the code again. Okay, so basically what it does is it logs the message outer, and then it runs the inner loop, and then goes to the next outer loop, runs the inner loop again, and goes to the next outer loop, and then runs the inner loop again. So that's your nested loop. And then if we want to break the inner loop, we can just do the same thing. We can just say if j equals 2, we're going to break. If we run this code here is so basically the outer loop here runs the inner loop, and then it stops at 2, then goes to the next outer loop here. So that's how you break the inner loop. But what if you want to break the outer loop? You can do something, you can use something called labels. And a label is just basically just any word you want to use. I'm going to use the word outer and then a colon next to the for loop. So basically now we have labeled the for loop, and we can just say break outer. So when we run this code again now, it says outer 0, and then it goes through the inner loop. Once j equals 2, it will just break the outer loop, so it breaks everything and stops everything. You can also use the continue keyword here. If I'm using the continue keyword, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log it out after the inner loop here, and I'm going to run this code again. As you can see, only the inner loops here are counted, because every time j equals 2, it says continue outer, it will just terminate the current loop and then go to the next loop. Okay, so we've come to the end of the video, and in the next video we're going to be starting to talk about JavaScript functions. And if you enjoyed this video, please give a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.